coming to me from my new daily because the Merc has gone to the scrapyard. Basically, it was still running. Wow, the engine was good, the gearbox was good. The car was a rusty piece of shit, but it was great. But it ended up with some weird electrical problem that the car wouldn't run for more than about 30 seconds. Wow. And even if you could keep it running, it wouldn't go over about 30 miles an hour. It was just fucked. I couldn't find any faults of it. No engine warning light, the MAF sensor was good, everything. So I scrapped it, and I actually got more scrap value for it than I paid for the car in the first place. So I made money. Not much. I made £55. So fuck it. So now I've got a new daily, which is, I don't like it, but it's a lot more useful for, you know, car carrying shit, because it's a big old 4x4. It's a Hyundai Terracan, 2006 I think this one is. Basically, it's just a Mark II Pajero. Literally underneath, it's the same chassis, same suspension, same axles, everything as a Mark II Pajero. That is the same super shift, super select, whatever they call it, four-wheel drive setup. It's just normally on a Pajero it's on like a lever. On this it's a twisty knob, but it's all the same. It's basically a fucking rebodied Pajero. The only difference is the engine. It's not got the Mitsubishi engine. It's got it's a 2.9 16 valve turbo diesel 4-cylinder, and to be honest, it's all right. It's quite a good engine. It's not fast, of course it's not, but it's not like a slug. It sort of gets around very well. Don't know what the fuel economy is going to be, because it's still a 2-ton tank, but it seems all right. So, and I didn't pay much for it. I actually got it, I paid 1,400 quid for it, and that's cheap for one of these. These normally go for a lot more, but the person owed me some money, so I got it cheap off him as like a payment. And I was going to flog it, but then the Merc broke, so it's like, fuck it, this one's got a year's ticket, and it's very useful for carrying stuff, because with the seats down, look, it's pretty massive. Look what I got. I bloody hate convertibles, but MR2 hardtops are normally mega bucks. I mean, like MX-5 one used is about, I don't know, 250 quid is what I've normally paid for them. These go for like 1,200 quid, which is like, can't justify it. Generally, like a grand is like pretty much the cheapest you can find, and even I can't even justify that. I hate soft tops, but it was like, I ain't spending a grand on that. But I got this one for a bit less, so it's like, I gotta do it. So, because I guarantee if anyone would have spotted this, they would have snapped it up super fast. So I got it from a place called Wimbledon down in Dorset. I didn't see the 13th Duke of Wimbledon there, unfortunately.
13th Duke of Wimbledon here, in a sixth form girls' dormitory, at 3 o'clock in the morning, with my reputation. What were they thinking of?
Oil cooler finally arrived, so I was working out position for it, and I decided there is pretty much perfect. It's not going to be at that exact spot. This is literally held on the cable tie to see if my theory is correct, but that's basically at the far end of the duct, so can't honestly get much more ideal really. So job done. In other news, as you might be able to see here, I have wrapped the full exhaust, the whole lot. Literally, it is wrapped from manifold, flexi, full system, all the way to the heat shield. Good thing about wrapping exhaust is it sorts the noise out as well. It's amazing how much exhaust noise actually comes through the pipe. So when you've got a fully wrapped exhaust, it does actually make the exhaust a lot quieter, but only because all the noise then comes out the tailpipe rather than just gets vibrated out the pipes. That's why a lot of cars sound raspy and tinny, and it'd be the same with this. It'd just sound like a deeper tone, like a Usually sounds like a bigger engine. It's hard to explain, but yeah. I've not done it for sound reasons. I've done it for heat reasons, but it's an added bonus for sure. Today I was like, how am I actually going to route the coolant hoses from the charge cooler to the front? And there's a lot of room, so there's a lot of options. I mean, it's exactly the same as, you know, like it's in the car at the moment where it could have been here. That's done because I don't give a shit, and I'd rather have the ease of working on and increased performance by being where it is, rather than here, which is the normal place on any car to put the charge cooler. And it's the same with the lines. Thomas was like, well, if it was me, he would run the lines through here and then down there, because there's tons of room, no problem, which is what you would do if the charge cooler's here. You just run the lines down there. There's loads of room, and then run it along under the car, where it goes along the side of the sill, along the front of the fuel tank, and then forwards. Basically exactly how the OEM aircon lines went. And it's like, yeah, no problem. But I thought to myself, you know what? I'd rather have more room in the engine bay. Because obviously if that was there would be 2 more 19mm ID lines going through here. So they're about 23 or so overall diameter. So, you know, 2 fair sized lines through here, which is going to be interfering with room to get to things. There's room for it all, yeah, but I'm trying to make this car as easy to work on and service as possible. That's what spoils so many engine conversions for me. It's like, it's making it hard to fucking work on. It spoils so many cars, even with standard engines in, when they're fuckers to work on. You work on like a Audi V6 or V8 engine, fucking hell. You know, even like older ones, you know, old sort of late 90s, early 2000s, Audi S4 2.7 twin turbo. Even to do like the actuator pipes on the turbos is literally a fucking engine out job, because you can't get to them otherwise. I can't even fathom needing to take an engine out just to do actuator pipes on a turbo. It's like on a normal car that would be like a 2-minute job. I would, you know, if I was doing an engine conversion, if I had that would be a deal breaker for me. There's like, right, and yeah, you can have this engine fitted in your car, but the only problem is if you ever have to mess with the actuator pipes or change your turbo or do anything, you have to pull the whole engine out. Fuck no, I don't want that conversion then. And that is how S4s are as standard. So while this would be nowhere near like that, it would just be a minor inconvenience. That shit ain't for me. I like driving cars, not fucking crying trying to fix them because I have to whip the engine out to do anything. That's like the standard engine on these is a wanker to work on the inlet side, because it's all crammed under there and there's no fucking room. Like I said before, you have to take the engine out to do like a head gasket or whatever. You can't get the head off in situ. But this part of the reason I love this is because, well, you can take off everything in situ easily. That is my entire like thing with this car. How I've done all the piping or everything is just to be easy to work on. So I'll show you what I did do. I've not finished it yet, but I've laid it out to make sure my idea isn't fucking stupid, and it's not. It's really good. So that's the car. Can you see anything weird there? Anything different to normal? No. But the hoses are going to be running through the car. You won't fucking see them because you can't even see them normally. And obviously with a seat there, it's even less likely to. But they are literally running down here. They will go like along the sill plate here, under the carpet there, and they go through the chassis there and there. It's ideal, to be honest. It's not in the way of your feet. These pipes won't get hot or even warm, to be fair. Somebody said to me, that'd be a nice heater for you in the winter, the charge cooler. It's like, mate, if your charge cooler's getting even quite warm, your charge cooler setup's fucked and you need to make it better, because that's the whole point. It shouldn't be getting warm. That engine bay layout, which, you know, is more OEM, but this car's nothing to do with OEM. It would have involved some proper twisty turny. We worked it out, and these will bend just enough to do it, but some proper twisty turny spiral shit, and it would be tight all in here to do anything, because it's gonna be, it would have been rammed with pipe work. And again, that takes the enjoyment away from me. I build, like, I know it's road cars, but I build things like race cars. They're logical. They're not about hiding everything. They're about efficiency and ease of working on them if that's an issue, and so on. So yeah, this is the way. Engine bay side hasn't been finished, but you can see again how it's going to be. So you see the two outlets there and there. You're going to have the one, well, I've, at the moment, I mean, they can kind of go anywhere, but at the moment I've roughly laid it out. And obviously with these big bore 19mm pipes, I mean, tight bends are not good for flow full stop, but with big bore pipes you can't do them too tight, otherwise they would kink. So I've got sort of nice sweeping curves everywhere. You'll notice that even coming through the bulkhead, they are at a very shallow angle, if you know what I mean, which again is me trying to make the curves as smooth as possible. But anyway, that one, I've got it sort of the compressor outlet, but yeah, it is the compressor outlet, the water pump outlet. And then there will be the other line will run, and it is at the moment running to the cooler, and the other line from the cooler is this one, which will go to the header tank, and the other line from the header tank will go to the water inlet. That's how I've got it laid out at the moment. So say your water's going in the header tank, so you've got cold water in the header tank going into your water pump. Water pump pumps the cold water directly to the charge cooler. The charge cooler is going to come back warmer. That will go directly to the cooler, and then from the cooler it will go back up to the header tank and round again. What I've done here, look, I'll show you. On here it runs through here, so it's nice smooth bends. Because again, I did have that 90 degree there, and yeah, that's neater, more OEM, but A, it's tighter bends, which is shit for flow, and B, it would make it harder to work on, because that's where the radiator hose will go. It's not connected at the moment, but the radiator hose connects to about there. So it's like, no. So instead, it runs through the thing into the inner wheel arch, and then goes pretty much in line with the radiator main line, and then back in here. The workshop, this is after you saw the engine running. Earlier on, before even the engine was running, I ripped out all my old hardtop shit. And when I say ripped out, I truly did rip it out. To get to things easier, I just got the fucking Stanley knife and sliced the shit out of it. And now it allowed me to remove all the sound deadening, which I left along the top there because it was just a fucking wanker to get out with the soft top in. So I just left it because obviously it doesn't weigh much. And then I've just gave it a quick, very quick blast with some silver paint, And now, to be fair, looks fucking good. Considering I don't care about how cars look and pay no, you know me, I'm all about performance and zero about look how pretty my car is. Looks pretty fucking good. But yeah, the charge cooler's down there for the minute because obviously I had to do all this, so I had to remove everything. I finally got the last couple of fittings for the charge cooler piping too, so I can finish that. Whether I will tonight or I just give up because it's quite late, I don't know. Probably, I'm not sure if I can be bothered tonight. And to be honest, I should give this more time to dry because it's been about 5 minutes. I'm impatient, but that's taking a piss. So one thing we was desperate for was a starter motor, a 180 starter motor, a 180 6-speed starter motor, because as we found out yesterday, here's a little tech tip for you. The O2M, the 6-speed boxes, they're on petrols and diesels. It's the same fitment, you know, they both bolt on. Diesels have got longer ratios, but apart from that, you know, it's much of a muchness. They're interchangeable. There are minor differences, but whatever, you know, it's ratios are all that really counts. The thing is, what we didn't realise is the flywheel and the starter is different, petrol to diesel. They're fucking interchangeable, because at the moment this 180 has got a diesel starter and a diesel flywheel, but they look so fucking similar. Basically the difference is the teeth on the petrol flywheel are, you know, the starter ring gear, what I mean, they're about 1 centimetre further back. So if you've got a petrol flywheel and you put a diesel starter, and the diesel and petrol starters look fucking identical, if you put one in, it doesn't quite reach the teeth, the ring gear. So, well, it touches them, but not enough to turn it. It just makes nasty metal on metal noises. So it's no good. So yeah, they look the same. Both the flywheel and the starter motor, by, you know, initial first look, you wouldn't think they're any different. But they are, for fuck's sake. So what we had to do, just because we wanted this running, is we had to take the gearboxes off and put the diesel flywheel and diesel starter on this one, and then put the gearbox back on. And that's how we started it earlier. But yeah, we would have started it the day before if it wasn't for that complete fucking ball ache. And once again, that was down to a fucking shitty part supplier. I tell you what, as much as Volkswagen Audi parts breakers are very commonplace, because the parts are very common, so it's dead easy to get hold of them, getting the right bits is not a fucking easy task. I've been sent the wrong looms, the wrong ECUs. The starter, which is a diesel one, was sold to us as a fucking petrol one, and so on. It's a nightmare. There's one local, I'm pointing the fucking camera like you can see him, but there's a fairly local and really highly recommended 180 breaker to us, and I thought that's ideal. I can just get, you know, all the stuff off him. Spoke to him, he's like, yeah, I got everything you need. He goes, I'll check the stock, get back to you. I get back to you tomorrow, he says. He didn't get back to me. So I thought, fuck it. And I went somewhere else to a different bloke, much further away, but he was bang on, which is who I got the looms and the pedals and the ECUs from. He's great. That was a guy in, I don't even remember where it was. Fucking Leicestershire. It was a fair way away. But he was great. He had it all, and it's the right price, and he, you know, no bullshit. But I needed them starters urgently, because, well, we didn't fucking have one. Hence we had to do this. And I needed drive shafts as well, because, well, we ain't got drive shafts. And so once again, I thought, maybe he's forgot. So I contacted the local guy again, the highly recommended guy, yeah, I've got all of that in stock guy. And once again, he replied with, yeah, I think I've got all that. I'll check and get back to you tomorrow afternoon. Has he? Fuck. Luckily though, I got hold of another different guy, not so local, but not too bad. This one was Oxford. This guy was saying, got back to me quickly. Well, basically all I went there for was he had a front wheel drive 6-speed petrol box, which always useful. They're one of the less common ones, so although they're not rare and although they're not expensive, they're, you know, it's nice to get them while you can. And he said he had a starter, and that's what I really needed. So I said, I'll tell you what. And he said he also had the drive shafts from this, but they were a bit knackered. So I said, okay, cool. I agreed a price, decent price, and I was gonna go and buy one starter. Well, basically everything that went with that box. So the starter, the box, and these drive shafts, which were a bit knackered, but he told me that. And I get there, and he's like, you know what? Do you want any more bits? And I was like what? He goes, well, because I did say to him we could do with a few starters and a lot more drive shafts. Because obviously Thomas has to, you know, convert them, and there's going to be more of these conversions come in and so on. And he's like, well, I found some more starters and I found a load of drive shafts, but because I can't confirm exactly what vehicle they came off, although they are clearly 6-speed ones, he said, do you want a load more starters and a load more drive shafts for another 20 quid? I was like, fuck yeah. So I've come back with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 drive shafts and 3 starters, I think. 3 starters and the gearbox. So, winner. Also, obviously you know from earlier in the video, I did another massive journey yesterday and got the hardtop. So, although I put it on earlier to check, that's literally the first thing we did in the workshop. I didn't film it. So I'm going to chuck it back on now. Not secure it in place, just put it on to show you. And there you go. Roof on. Car's filthy and obviously unfinished. But yeah, looks so much better to me. I do not like convertibles at all. But yeah, that's way better. Much, much better. Yeah, I much prefer that than the standard setup, for sure. I tell you what I got lucky with as well, is the hardtop. It's hard to tell in this light, because obviously different shadows and all that, but hopefully you can tell. You sort of see there, because it's the same light. It's the right colour. And I say that like it's a big deal, because yeah, I knew it was silver, of course I did, but I didn't think it was this silver, because you MR2, well, if any MR2 people are watching, you're probably not, because most of them seem to fucking hate me. I'm banned from the fucking UK page already for complaining, well, not complaining, but for mentioning the fact that all they seem to talk about is fucking shit, like old people's memes and fucking pictures of goats and gay shit like that, and nothing to do with cars. And they banned me because, you know, they can do what they like. MR2 Mark III people might know this, but I didn't. There's 2 different silvers. Basically, remember I got this car, and then the next day I bought the other one, which Thomas is actually using as a daily driver at the moment. And, you know, they're both silver. And they both look the same to me. But you put them next to each other, and the other one is a darker silver, like very much noticeably darker. And it's like, oh, didn't know that. I prefer this lighter silver. This is a very light silver. I like silver cars. I don't know why, I always have. But anyway, this is a light silver. That one's a darker silver. You don't notice until they're next to each other, but it is. And the only thing the only difference I knew of was the fact that this is a Jap import. The other one wasn't. So I presumed right up until I put the roof on, that Jap import silver was a different one, and UK silver was the one that was the UK car at Thomas's daily in at the moment. But this roof matches, and this roof is, according to that, It says Toyota GB. So I guess there's 2 different shades of silver on official UK cars as well. Which seems weird to me. Why'd you have 2 shades of silver? It's almost the fucking same. But I guess so, unless at some point the owner of that hardtop had a Japanese import one with the different shade of silver that I've got and had it sprayed that colour. I have no fucking clue. But I honestly thought it was going to be the shade of the other car, and it wouldn't have bothered me because I don't give a shit. It's like, it's close enough. But it turns out it's the same shade. Look, all this fucking oil spatter everywhere. I've wiped most of it off, but that's from when Thomas cranked over the 1.8T. Not started it, just cranked it over with the turbo oil feed not plugged. Just totally forgot. And just from cranking it over, it spat oil all across the air. It went all over the wall, everything. So it's safe to say it's got good oil pressure, because literally cranking it over and it's all whoosh. So yeah, there's fucking oil everywhere. It was loads on the floor underneath, of course, but it sprayed. I mean, I wiped it off the wall earlier, but there's probably bits and pieces still. But yeah, there was oil spats fucking everywhere. But yeah, like, subscribe, bloody blah. It's possible the next video you see of this, it's going to be running. Well, no, it's going to be one of 2 things. It's either going to be a video with this running, or the video where I've taken the engine out to make the engine bay and the engine look pretty, and I'm fitting the clutch and doing the final bits and pieces. Whether that's also part of the running video, only time will tell. But it'll only be a few days away no matter what, because as you can tell, I'm fucking flying through this. When did I start this? A few weeks ago? I bought this car literally like fucking month ago. Not bad going, eh? Right, see you next time. Ta-ra.